G'day all and welcome to Valley Raceway. Back into my track build. Got a bit of work done yesterday. Off for a little bit, as in off work. Really need to get this done. So here we are. So what are we looking at? MDF track surface, routed slots, all done, all hand drawn track. The track is routed with end mill bits that are carbide, 1.6 mil and 0.8 for the rail pocket. The concept was, wish I wouldn't have done it. I didn't want to run lock wire. Lock wire is a wire that if you ran a rail in a 1.6 mil slot, that you just tuck a piece of wire in beside it, and that means that that locks the wire in place, rather than the method I'm doing, which is taking me forever. And yeah, look, Dave Ganaway from over in Perth in Western Australia advised me at the time when he heard I was doing routed. He said, do a practice track. Somebody knew better. Well, I've paid for it ever since. You were right, Dave. Anyway, things that I've learnt. Plastibond. Plastibond is how to fix MDF. Builder's bog doesn't work. Builder's bog's too soft, and if you end up with a thin piece, it just breaks away from the MDF and doesn't stick. I started this build in July 2020. It's now December 2023. People say all sorts of things about MDF, about how that it sucks in moisture and everything. And it does, to a certain degree. It is certainly porous, and this is one of the reasons why I selected it. Because if it sucks in water, it sucks in paint. If it sucks in paint, it also sucks in glue. So this whole track, the whole table is made out of polystyrene. It's got MDF strips in it for strength, because the whole concept of this whole build was about being lightweight. It is just a tabletop, so this is all built into the tabletop, and it's just got sawhorses under it, because I need it to be portable, because I'd still love to do race meets in public places, and I still don't know how that's going to work, and depending on how this comes out, this may stay here and never move, and I may build an AFX sectional track to move around, but I'd love for this to be the track that I carry around. It's 4.1 metres long and 1650 millimetres wide. I'll work the conversion out and put that up on the screen for what that actually works out in feet and inches. I wanted something focused towards non-mag and low magnet cars, so I've got reasonably large radius curves. I've got two curves in here that I think are around about 7R at their tightest point, like 7-inch radius, but that's not. It's only for short periods. I've purposely built it so it's got a bit of flow to it. There is not a single straight line in this track. It's all hand sketched and then routed. So once I got one lane done, I made plastic strip. So I hand drew a pattern, and then I traced it into another layer of MDF that was on top. I then hand cut that out. So I had a 3mm MDF guide. So I used that guide and then routed the first slot, and I made I haven't got it here anymore. I've lent it to somebody else. But I've got a tool that sits on my trimmer router, and it offsets the cutter the distance that I need between rails. So I cut the MDF, so I had a guide. Once I had one slot in, I didn't need that anymore, so I took it off. And then this was then my guide. So this is Lexan that I've cut down to 1.5 mil. It was 1.6 and I've thinned it. I made a little tool to do that. It's just a pair of Stanley knife blades with a slot through. And I just keep on dragging this through until I set it up, until it gets down to 1.5. But yeah, so for every lane then, when I was routing this lane, the guide was in here. When I was routing this lane, the guide was in, and I just moved my way across. And the same thing, I made another tool for the slots, but that didn't work very successfully, and as you can imagine, a 0.8mm router bit went through them pretty quickly. So I like to think I'm a bit of a problem solver, even though I'm a good problem creator. But I made this little tool here. Now, that's a 1.6mm high-speed steel rod, and I had another two mounted in it that had the ends ground down to 1.8mm, and I used that to describe my slots in. I think that's part of the problem why I've been having problems with delamination, because as I was dragging the tool through, of course the material I'm scraping off is building up behind the tool, or behind the cutter. So as I'm coming through, more and more pressure was getting put through behind. I think that was one reason. And then maybe I got a bit gung-ho pushing the plastic into the slot and was a bit heavy-handed. And then when I put the rail in, it was a bit tight. So I think all of those things combined, I had this problem. And you can see with this green-grey material here, all of the problems. Now this stuff never comes out in one full strip. You know, like you'll get an area that breaks out like this, and then as you fix that and sand it off, then the next bit lets go. So it hasn't been easy, it hasn't been fast, it's been painful. If I did it again, I'd probably eat a bit of humble pie and just put lock wire in. It'd be a lot easier. But look, here's where I am, here's what I've done. What I've done to solve the problem since where I'm at, rather than using the round tool, I've switched to these little chisels. So this one's 0.8, this one's 1.6, and I'm just going around and scraping the slot to get my depth. So when I install the slot, I'm using a little glue bottle. I've got a tip in there. I end up putting glue in the slot, like it's just PVA glue. And then I install the slot, install the rail, going mad. And then I also made this other little tool here. I've got a little hobby size milling machine, it's not a big one. And I made this little tool here, so that's a neodymium magnet installed in a piece of Lexan. And that gives me a depth gauge, and if I end up making the slot too deep, then that holds the rail up while I glue it. If it's too deep, because too deep would be a disaster, because how else am I getting the rail height up? So talking rail heights, how have I... Obviously this has got to be painted, and obviously the rails, I've decided to install the rails first. So what that means is the track surface height's going to get taller. Now my end result for this is somewhere around about 0.3 to 0.2 millimeters high. It's currently set up at about 0.5. So the paint will take up some, I'm assuming 0.1, maybe 0.15, and then I'll shave the rest off with a tool similar to this, or a tool similar to the one that Brewgog off Facebook has made up. You know, so he made it up for the Australian Hay Racing League. He's redesigned my original rough design and made it so it's 3D printable, so it's easy to replicate. That's the thing with the stuff I make, it's never easy to replicate. But yeah, so this is where I'm up to, this is what I'm doing. I created this channel to basically motivate me, hoping to find more people, trying to find more races, because I think since COVID started, our numbers have dwindled off. I don't want a heap of blokes, but 12. If I could get 12, I'd be happy. But the numbers dropped right off, and there's been too many weeks where we've had to call it off because the numbers are too low. So I think that's also demotivated me for not getting this done as well. But I just really want to get this done. I want to have a big race meet on this when it's all done and get as many blokes as possible. So if you're in a travelable distance of Newcastle, look out, because this may be of interest to you. Don't know whether the race will end up happening here or I'll take this to a public place. This would just slide straight back onto the back of a car trailer, no problem, because it's just the top, and single legs. It's just easy. But yeah, I've got heaps of work left to do on it. But I've put about 7 weeks into it now, so there's plenty of work. Can't believe I've done scenery again. But I've got to cut this drink holders. It's the perfect size. Hang on, I'll grab one. Oh, this bit of cardboard tube here is the perfect size for a beer cooler. So I'm going to make these pretty shallow. So that'll be cut down to track height. If you're wondering what this is, this will be a tyre cleaning station or car tuning station or checking station. So mid-race, these will be powered all the time, and you'll be able to test your controller or just your car. So there'll be an off position and an on position. Oh no! Oh, there you go. I've only put a 2-position switch in there. There you go. So obviously that one will be they'll be live, so you can just put your car on and test it. And this one will be plug your controller in to put your car on and test it and see whether there's a problem with your controller. I had one of these installed on my last track. Absolutely brilliant. Made problems with people's cars during races really easy to diagnose and fix. I've got two in this track, so I've got one here and I've got one in a similar location on the other side of the track, so blokes don't have to run round to the other side of the track to check their cars. I've got a couple of call buttons on this one that are reachable from all areas of the track. Yeah, it's going to be good to race on. I'm really looking forward to getting some races happening here. When I was having races here all the time, I used to keep my garage really tidy, but ever since I've stopped it, it's not as tidy anymore. But yeah, looking forward to getting blokes here so I can have purpose for keeping my garage clean. But yeah, so anyway, got to get this track finished. Hope you guys enjoy this video. If you want to see more of what I'm doing, and I will now do more updates and things on this. Yes, I know I've got some bodies and things that I'm resin casting and stuff that people have been asking me about, the A9X Tirana, for example. I'm getting there, but I think the biggest thing is I just need to get my track done. Those other things will happen. I'm going to be doing a bit of resin casting while I'm off work as well, so it just comes down to the temperature, because the temperature's been a bit nuts recently. But it was nice and cool yesterday, and it's not too bad today. Yeah. Anyway, it's probably not a good time of year to take time off to do this sort of stuff because it's too hot. But the one positive is this outside rail has been glued in for the last couple of months, and I've had some really hot days, and I've had no problem with delamination. So if that's not testing how good it's going to stand up to it, I don't know what is. That's the best test I've got. But yeah. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Check out some other videos. I've got all sorts of stuff there to try and help people on things. But I'm thinking maybe another video I need to do soon is maybe one on explaining how 3-wire controllers work, because I think putting up a wiring diagram is good, but I think people actually need to understand it. So yeah, so I think that's maybe a video coming up in the short term rather than the long term, because I think it may help some, because I know a couple of guys who have ended up damaging controllers because they've had problems with it. And I think part of the problem is if they just understood where the wires went before they started putting them there, then they'd understand it. But yeah, because it's very difficult to me to help people over the internet or just in words or even on the phone. I sort of really need to be there. But if I can help people understand things better, so they understand it fully before they get into it, well, I think that's a positive. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. That's enough of me rambling on. And I'll catch you later. See ya.